Muy buenos días, amigos y seguidores de Latino News. Una vez más estamos aquí en nuestro programa de llevarles a todos ustedes la información sobre la contienda electoral que se realizará este mes de agosto en la ciudad de Pelham, en la cual estarán formando el gobierno de la ciudad, formado por 4 concejales y un alcalde. Estoy en este momento con uno de los candidatos a la alcaldía, el señor Rick Wash. Rick, good morning, and it is a pleasure to have you with us at Latino News.
Thank you, Juan. I appreciate you guys having, and I appreciate Latino News doing this.
Rick, let's begin by introducing to your audience who is Rick Wash and what can you tell us a little bit about your background, your family, and what led you to serve in public life?
Well, that's an interesting story. Really to back up, I grew up here in Pelham and went to Pelham High School and graduated from there and decided after college to come back here and raise my family. And I actually was the very first police officer that was a graduate of Pelham High School that the Pelham Police Department had ever hired. So I was their very first homegrown hire. And so served my years there, doing all types of jobs, wearing several different hats as you do in a small department, as we were at that time. And so I'm very accustomed to public service and to being a public servant. And after retiring from the police department, I worked for myself. As I had always wanted to do, and ended up having a thriving company here in the Pelham area. And now I work for a company here in Pelham that's also a home-based company called Research Solutions. And I run their specialty chemical division of their company. I have 6 kids, 3 sons, 3 daughters, and 6 grandkids with the 7th one on the way.
Congratulations.
So me and my wife Cindy are super excited, about the grandkids, of course. But my kids all live here in the area, and that's very nice. Pelham's home to us. Growing up here and being here, and deciding to make Pelham my home has been very, very important to me and my family.
Right. Having been a long time resident or forever resident of Pelham, Uh, you have seen Pelham grow from small town to what it is today. What does personally influence you to make this decision to run for mayor?
Well, I think that we're at a pivotal time in the city. And you're right, one. When my family moved to Pelham, there were very few businesses even up and down Highway 31 in the mid 70s. And Pelham High School was brand new and didn't even go to the 12th grade. And so I've seen it grow from that to what it is today. I tell people all the time, when I went to work for the police department, we had 15 policemen, and that was including our chief. And so now to a department that's nearly 100 strong. So I've seen Pelham really, really grow. And most of the growth in Pelham has been phenomenal and has been great. But we have had times that, as you do up and down the Highway 31 corridor, especially in the early years, development was really whatever wanted to come here. And so with that, you kind of get what you get. And so now, really, in the last 10 years or 15 years, we have seen where growth is important, and we need to be very strategic about growth. And especially in the last 5 years that I've been on the council, we have really concentrated and focused on the growth of Pelham, and what do the people of Pelham really want, and what do they need?
I see. If elected, what are the core priorities and values that will shape your agenda as mayor? What are some of the key issues you hope to address from day one?
That's a great question. I think that probably the biggest core value that I have is integrity and being in touch with the people. I'm a people person, and I love the community. I'm invested in this community, and it's personal to me. And so I love Pelham, and Pelham is a part of me and part of my family. And so I think the integrity of our community and keeping that integrity is extremely important. I think that honor and being able to honor what we have and to remember, I'm a big historian growing up here and living here and being here since way back when. Uh, Me and the present mayor now, he and I kind of swap up who's the historian of the city of Pelham. And I think to be able to move forward, you have to know your past. And and be willing to improve and be willing to change things and to make things better. I think that Pelham is in a great time in life when we can really take Pelham to the next level. And that's really what I want to do. I want to enhance on what we already have. I want people to understand that bigger is not always better. I think responsible growth is extremely important. And I think that we take what we've got and we really enhance on that. I think one of the things that we have done here in the last several years, and something that I definitely want to continue, is community involvement. I think we've made good strides towards that, but we're not where we want to be. I would love to see us take it to the next level, do things like, revamp our neighborhood watch programs. We are working now on revamping and coordinating with all of our homeowners associations to give fair representation to every neighborhood in Pelham. And I mean every neighborhood, even those without HOA. And so it's extremely important that we work together to take Pelham forward.
I see. As a city council member for the past 5 years, you have worked closely with many sectors of the community. How would you describe the relationship you have built with Pelham's Latino residents, and how do you ensure their voices are heard?
Well, I think the Latino community is a very dynamic community. Something I've learned over my years of that is that they're very family oriented. I think that the Latino community, I think we can all take a big lesson from, is that family comes first, and they're very rooted in their heritage. And I think that's something that we all need to be in touch with. I think that things that we do. I'll give you an example. A couple of weeks ago, me Pueblo had their 20th anniversary, and I attended. Mr. Joel invited me to come, and I did, and just to be there, and the festiveness of that. And I think that that's important. I think that we need to enhance on that. We need to do more things that include the Latino community in Pelham and make them more inclusive, in what we do, and through communications, through making sure that they know they're welcomed and making sure that they know they're invited. And so, some of my very best friends are Latino, come from Latino heritage, and I grew up with, and they're Pelham residents, and 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 they're really, the thing I love the most about them is just the work ethic and the dedication to wanting to make them and their families better, and you can't blame anyone for that. So
Right. Rick, the Latino population in Pelham is not only growing in size, but also in civic engagement, economic influence, and voter turnout, especially among younger generations. How are you planning to engage with this dynamic and increasingly active part of the electorate as a mayoral candidate?
yeah, I think it's there again. I think that the young vote and the younger generation is a challenge. And, in today's age, being old and gray-headed, it is a challenge, and it's something that we really have to look into, and something that we really have to work towards, moving forward with a good common goal. I think that we need to engage with the young Latino community and to make sure that they're part of what's going on. I think there's a lot of ways to do that through really communication, through outreach, through education, through having open doors for them and things that they know they're welcome. What I found in most of the time with my Latino friends is they want to be involved, they just don't know how. Yeah. And so I think that's extremely important. So I think what we need to do as a city, and one of the things that I want to do is really open that door of communication between the Latino community and the city and other communities in Pelham.
What do you think it will be the best avenue to reach that goal?
I think that probably the best avenue to do that is through open education, through an outreach program, through letting them know that we are here and that we want to help and we want to be involved. I think that I think they want to be involved. I think the issue is they just don't know how.
Creating awareness in some sort of way?
Absolutely. I just think that we do a big push to create awareness, and that we do a big push to create an involvement and a community ownership. I think a lot of times what I hear, and you may agree or disagree with this, but I think a lot of the Latino community, they just don't think they're part of it. They think that they're not part of our community, and so I think that that's important. When I talked to Mr. Joel over at Mi Pueblo a few weeks ago, and he said, "Hey, uh, you guys need to really open your arms to the Latino community," and I think the thing to do with that, what I would want to do, is maybe put together a community panel of people in that community, and see what they think, because they have insight that we don't have, and as much as we really want to be involved and really want to have a touch with them, the truth of the matter is that they know what works much better than we do, as all communities do. I think our ability is we just got to be able to listen.
That will be fantastic, and Latino News will be there to support you with that project.
Wonderful.
If you need our help, we'll be happy to help you out with that. Looking ahead in the August election, who is eligible to vote, and what steps are you taking to encouraging others to take to ensure that first-time and younger voters are informed, not only the Latino community but in the community in general,
Sure.
to register and to get motivated to participate in their civic duty as as residents of the city of Pelham?
Sure. Well, I think that the big picture of this is even bigger than Pelham. I think that nationwide, we need to really push our younger generation to know the importance of voting. You know, that that is the most eligible right that you have, is to be able to vote. And so as a U.S. citizen and as someone here in the U.S., is to be able to vote is the greatest power that you have. Most countries don't have that ability. And so to be able to have that and to instill in them that every voice matters. So,
One of the questions that I have had is if this has any political color.
mhm.
And what I've been telling people who ask me that this is a political, it is not Republican or Democrat. It is simply a local government of the city of Pelham, regardless of your political belief.
Sure. And I think that, one thing in a city election, we run, we're not party partisan. So we don't run affiliated with a party. We just run in general. And so whether you're a Democrat or you're a Republican or you're an independent or you're conservative or you're very liberal, as far as qualifying in a city election, that really doesn't matter. I will tell you though that, you know, uh, the beliefs of people and usually the moral makeup of them is reflected by how they vote on a national election. And so, to me personally, I think that it is important to know where someone stands because I'll give you a great example. If someone's pro-life or they're not pro-life, well, with me and my Christian beliefs, I'm an, I'm extremely pro-life. And so, so I think things like that really help you know the inner workings or the makeup of someone that I think is extremely important when making a decision on any candidate, whether you know them or not, unless it's someone that you know personally. Now, as far as the works that you do in the city, yeah, we are not party affiliated, but I do think that your national affiliation is important. So.
I see. Would you like to send a message to our viewers and invite them to register to vote, to come to vote, and where to vote, and what is the date of the election?
Sure. What I would like to tell you is we, your vote is very important. You need to show up and vote. If you're 18 years or above, you need to register to vote. You can go on the Alabama's .gov's website and go to voter registration, and you can register to vote. It's still plenty of time. I think we've got until the middle of June or the end of July to be able to register to vote in this election. The election is August the 26th, and it will be held at the Pelham Civic Complex. Some people in national elections, they split us up, and some people vote here and there and everywhere. But in a city election, we all vote at the Civic Complex, which is the ice skating rink over by where the amphitheater used to be. And so it's very important this year more important than probably ever before. It's going to be very important that you get out and vote. that we can have a good voter turnout. You know, the bad thing about municipal elections is that they usually have poor voter turnout historically. And so it's extremely important that we get everyone out to vote, you know, so your voice can be heard. The other thing is that local politics and local government have more of an impact on your life, daily life, than any other form of government. A lot more so than at the state level, and a whole lot more so than at the federal level. You know, we saw the turnout at the last presidential election was record breaking, especially here in North Shelby County. And and we need that same type turnout because this is that important. And so it's so crucial that we have a good voter turnout. And if you're not registered, young people, please get online. It doesn't take but a few minutes to register, and that's the best way. And if you don't know how, please contact. You can go to my Facebook page, which is Rick Wash for Mayor of Pelham. And I've got a link on there that you can go to, and you can link right into the state's website, and you can register to vote. And so things like that are extremely important. And so it doesn't take but a few minutes, or reach out to me personally, and I'll walk you through the steps of how to do it. And so please, you know, that is crucial for this election.
Mr. Wash, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you again for your time and for sharing your story and vision with our community. On behalf of Latino News, we wish you the very best in your campaign and continued service to Pelham. Thank you again.
Thank you, Juan. Vote Rick Wash for
Appreciate it.
Mayor of Pelham.
Thank you.
Thank you, Juan.